So, couple of to start with, there is this textbook that I prescribed for the course that I suggested for the course King. I understand it's a bit expensive. But it's all right if you. That's a very nice book, but you can learn from other books also. Like for example, there is this book by Balaguru Swami. And I will suggest one or a couple of more books. You can get them, if not this book by King. So, yeah. So I just give a couple of suggestions so you can decide what you want to do, how you want to go about it. And then I will post on the course website. There is one book called as Essential C. It is from Stanford. So you can see that the whole C language is summarized in 45 pages. This is an excellent reference. So now I'm kind of saying there is no official book for this course. Okay, I will. There is one official book which is suggested, but it is expensive, and some of you, yeah. So it's up to you whether you want to buy it or not. But there are other books also. It will still be all right. But this one, Essential C, this is available online for anyone. And you can see the whole of the C programming language is summarized in 45 pages in this book. It's a very good book. And you can look at these sections, and from these sections, you will get a good idea about the whole summary of the C programming language. So if you see here, so section, so the first section is on basic types and operators. So when you are writing a program, so we have to store some data and do some computations on the data. The data that we store in the program, what are the available data types provided by a C programming language? So you need to know, and not only C, any new programming language that you would like to learn, these are the things that you need to look at. What are the data types provided by the C programming language, by that particular programming language, and what kind of operators are provided. Operators are like addition, subtraction, multiplication, etc. In the course so far, we have looked at, we just looked at one program. And what is the data type that we looked at so far? We used only one data type. We used integers. So this is what we used, integers. This is what we used. And the operators are addition, subtraction, so on and so forth. Those are the operators. So we have data, and then we do computations on the data. And then we have to do some, based on some condition, we want to do one kind of computation versus another. That's what we did for ABS, right? So if when we are trying to compute mod A, we check where if A is greater than or equal to 0, then so there are two answers for this, yes or no. And if A is greater than or equal to 0, we said ABS underscore A is equal to A, and otherwise ABS underscore A is equal to minus A. This is what we did. This is, and we expressed this logic. This is the algorithmic thinking. What you are seeing here on here, this is the computational thinking. This is how this is independent of the language. And then we figured out we can express this logic using the if statement. If is what is one of the available control structures in the C programming language. And then we started with, a C program is a collection of functions, and in the program that we have written, there is only one function. And section 4 is about functions. So this is a good book to have. You can quickly read and learn things by looking at this. 45 pages. Can't you master 45 pages in a semester with 90 days in it? Yes or no? So, yeah. So just have this one along with other books. This is concise, but you look at it carefully, you get all the ideas. This is an excellent reference. Great. So let's in the last class, again, we have seen among the data types, we have seen integer data type. We will discuss about these data types in detail again later. But for the time being, I want to still highlight, we looked at this integer data type, and we will look at more data types as we keep going. Yeah, and this is what yesterday, again, we looked at variables. So comments and variables, like you can see how comments are written in C programming language. There are two kinds of comment. There are two ways of writing comments. One way of writing is this particular way of writing comment. It's a /* and then after whatever you write the comments, and then you have star followed by /. And then single line comment. So these two ideas that we have seen again in last class. Single line comment and multi-line comment. And then variables. So variable declaration. So int num. So if you want to use a variable, so we give a name. So num in this particular declaration, we have num is a variable and its type is int. When you say num is equal to 42, what happens is in the memory that is associated with the variable num, the value 42 will be written there. In the memory that is associated with variable num, the value 42 will be written in that memory location. And where is it written? In which memory? Is it hard disk or is it RAM? Divij hard disk HDD. Ayappa. Lots of HDDs. SSD. Come on, guys, come on. What did we see? Still SSD coming. Hard disk, physical memory. Ayappa Swami. Guys, so what did we see? So we have seen quite a bit in the last class that every variable is allocated memory in the RAM. When we give the program for execution, every variable that is declared, it will be allocated memory in the RAM. And RAM, it's a sequence of bytes, and a sequence of 4 bytes will be allocated for a sequence of 4 bytes will be allocated when we execute the program. That's true. That's I'm talking about when we run the program, what happens. When it's not executed, the whole thing, there is no memory for num allocated at all. It is stored in some particular form in the hard disk. And the program is not executed. And the program, maybe I didn't frame the question right. So the program just gets stored in your hard disk, but when you give the program for execution, what happens is num will be allocated a sequence of 4 bytes. And when we execute num is equal to 42, then 42 will be written into the memory location associated with num. When the program is not running, no, it will be kind of the script for execution. No, like let's say if you think of program execution as a drama, the script for program execution will be stored in the hard disk. And when we give the program for execution, everything will be set up nicely so that the program can execute. No problem. I understood that some of you thought that when the program is not executed, it is it's stored on hard disk. All right. Are you all with me so far? Good. I'm trying to review this using this book because you will learn how to read this book. And then we looked at the assignment operator, also assignment statement. Actually, we looked at assignment statement, but yeah, assignment operator, assignment statement, both are the same. So yesterday, what did we see? We looked at, we wrote a couple of statements. One is ABS underscore A is equal to A, or ABS underscore A is equal to minus A. So depending upon the condition, one of these two statements gets executed. So here, if you see, when you say I is equal to 6, the value 6 will be written into the memory location associated with the 6. And this particular statement, I is equal to I plus 1, is interesting. After the statement gets executed, what will be the contents of I? What will be the contents of I? 7. If you see here, so what happens is you can think of this as you write it like this: I is equal to I plus 1. So what happens is this is the tree. You can write every expression, every statement as a tree. The value of I is equal to 6. So 6 plus 1 is equal to 7. So this is 6. 6 plus 1 is equal to 7. And this 7 will be written into the memory location associated with variable I. All right. So this is one thing which we have seen. And then let's keep going. So we used what is called as a relational operator in the if statement. We used a relational operator here. This is the one that we used. We checked if A is greater than or equal to 0. This is the one we used. And what are the other kinds of relational operators that are available? Less than or equal to, less than, greater than, this is not equal to. These are the other relational operators that are available. See, this is why, this is what I would like you to learn. In the class, I will not take time to introduce you to all the relational operators. But if you go and see, then, like we used one relational operator. And what are the other relational operators that are available? You can go check and hey, these are the other relational operators that are available. And what do they mean? You should learn by yourself. All right. And then let's keep going. And the next thing that we used is the if statement. There are 3 forms of if statement. One is just if this condition is true, then execute this. This is one. And the other form, this is the form that we used. If the expression is true, then we execute this state sequence of statements in the if part. And if it is false, then we execute the statements in the else part of the if statement. So this is a summary of the language features that we have learned from yesterday's class. Did you all try to write the program and execute it? The same program I discussed in the class, just type it in. So great, very nice. Good. So this book, Essential C, is very important. It's a very nice, it's a very compact book. You can, whenever you get to doubt, no, you can quickly refer this book and see, get your ideas clarified. So now today, we will continue our discussion. We'll continue our discussion on. I will introduce you to a powerful tool called as GDB. How many of you? Some of you did programming before, right? Did anyone use GDB? Bharat. Okay. So GDB is a very, very powerful tool, and we will see how we can use GDB to its full extent. So let's not this hello.c. So again, we can compile the program and run the program in VS Code editor. I don't want to do that, at least for the first 4 weeks. I would like you to use the terminal. Similarly, if you go check here, now you will see there is this debugger. We can debug using Visual Studio Code. That is, we can invoke GDB from VS Code, but again, for the first 1 month, I don't want to use the debugger provided by, not use GDB through Visual Studio Code. Okay, so you should all be familiar with using GDB from the terminal. I will show you 2 ways of running GDB today. So let me see how to place my screen. This is the program. Great. So if you are not able to follow, don't follow along, just no commands also, you can watch the video later, and it's not a big deal, right? So don't worry. Don't worry if you are not able to remember the commands and all. It's okay. You can watch the video again, and but I'll just explain that if you want to use GDB, you have to compile the program using -G option. What happens is, when you translate your C program into machine code, your processor doesn't need to know about the name of the variable is A, and there is another variable called ABS_A. All these things the processor doesn't care. It doesn't know. It cannot even understand. It only understands addresses and offsets and instructions like that. So during the process of translating your C program into equivalent machine code, all this information will be lost. So when you try to debug your program, then what happens is, finding out where what is happening, it is difficult. So if you use -G option, then all this mapping between addresses to variables, etc., everything will be kept in the executable file, and that facilitates the debugging process. So GCC -G abs.c, use -G option. Remember, so I didn't give any -O, so executable got generated in a.out, file a.out, you will see. This is what you will see. And you can see with the debug info. And if you compile without abs.c, and if you say file, you don't see this. If you don't use -g option, you don't get this with debug info thing. Okay, so let's compile a program again using GCC -g abs.c. gdb a.out, and you just type run, and when you type run, the program starts running. And let's say you enter 10, and so the program run, and it output what we anticipate. We can run the program again, and if you enter -10, and this is what we get. But this is not fun, right? I mean, you just run the program. What's the big deal? You can run it at the prompt. But what we can do is we can put a breakpoint. Let's say I want to put a breakpoint on line number 10. On line number 10, at the beginning of the if statement, I would like to keep a breakpoint. So I will say break, break 10. 10 is line number 10 in my program, which you can see on the right hand side in the editor, break 10. Okay, now it said there is a breakpoint set on line number 10 in the file abs.c. Now let's run the program. When you run the program, what happens is when it encounters line number 10, it doesn't execute. It stops there. It stops there. Run. Yeah, so run. So let's say I enter -10. Great. Now you can see on that the program has stopped executing on line number 10. Are you all with me here? What is happening? That we kept a breakpoint on line number 10. So when we hit line number 10, the program stopped executing. So yeah, what can we do? So now you want to check, for example, let's say your program is printing some weird answer. You want to check whether you are really reading the right value. So you want to observe what is the contents of variable A. So if you say print A, it says that the contents of variable A is 10. That is, you are able to examine the memory location associated with variable A, and hey, and it got confirmed. Hey, A in fact contains the value 10, and that's what we have entered, so we are good. And let's say now I print ABS, that is $1 is equal to A. Don't worry about it. It's just all it means is that that is not S, it is dollar. I don't know what convention which GDB uses, but all it means is the output A contains 10. Now, if I say print ABS underscore A, what do you think we will get? Print ABS. Empty variable, random value, garbage value. Good. So let's see what happens. Some random value will come because that particular memory location, it is not initialized. Your RAM, we didn't initialize it with any particular value. So some garbage value could be there, and we are reading it. Anyway, so you understood ABS underscore A, when we printed, we got some value, right? What is debugging? Debugging is when there is a problem in your program, how do you fix that? How do you fix that? There is the story behind this is, I don't recall the story exactly, but approximately this is from what I recall. Now maybe in the 50s, when computers are realized using vacuum tube technologies, like a small computer, like a calculator, it will the circuit for it is realized using vacuum tubes. And a whole building is required to kind of to facilitate this computer, okay, which is built using vacuum tubes. Apparently, in one of the it's not functioning because there is one bug present in one of the vacuum tubes. Yeah, so and in order to debug, so you remove it, then the computer starts working, and that's where the word debug has come. Radhikesh, old times there used to be bugs stuck in the relays and vacuum tubes. So in order to make them work, we have to debug them so that the computer works. But the point I want to, there is a couple of points I want to mention. One point is when you try to print ABS_A, some garbage value is printed because we didn't initialize that value with anything, but some random bits are present. There is an interesting thing that can happen, you know, like for example, I will tell you one thing, and I will not take too many questions after that, because whatever I tell you, it makes you feel excited and you'll ask me hundreds of questions. So I will not answer all your questions, but I'll pique your interest. So what happens is, this is your RAM, right? In your RAM, there are multiple processes that are running. Sorry, in your computer, if you see, using activity monitor or HTOP or whatever it is, multiple processes are running. And so the memory, let's say this chunk of memory where you are storing ABS_A is earlier used by a program which stores the credit card information of some other user, some other program stored in this particular bits, the credit card information or password of some other user who is working on the same system. So now what can happen is, now you got the memory, and if you just read this, maybe you might be able to retrieve the password, his password or his credit card information, and kind of use it to do mischief. So for all we know, this 32764 here, it could be on my machine. I'm the only one who is using, but there are other processes of mine, and one of the processes may have used this particular chunk of memory sometime before to store the credit card information or some password of mine. And now when I printed ABS_A, it got printed onto the screen, and it could be exploited by you, since you are seeing it. Okay, you understood? So approximately what is happening? What could go wrong? I know there are lots of questions you may have, but yeah, but this is some high-level picture to pick your interest. There is nothing like nothing was there in the RAM. When we start your system, your RAM contains some garbage values to start with. Brahad also got 32767 on his system. It depends, sometimes it depends on the system, but usually some of these things are taken care of by modern operating systems. Anyway, so let's get back here. So you're all with me here on this point that A contains 10 and ABS_A contains some random. So now I want to tell the GDB to execute the statement on line number 10. So I'm giving the command next. And when I give the command next, then since the value of A is 10, what happens is, and since the condition is true, line number, the control goes to line number 12. And so it says, And GDB says that I am about to execute the statement ABS underscore A. Again, are you with me? So that we are at line number 12. Line number 12 is not yet executed. Line number 12 is not executed. And so if you print ABS underscore A, you will still get that same random value. So now if I execute the statement, if I give the next command, then line number 12 got executed. And if I say print ABS underscore A, it will show that ABS underscore A now contains the value 10 after the assignment statement. And after line number 12 got executed, control directly goes to line number 13. It doesn't go to else. It doesn't go to else. It goes to line number 19. So there is what is called as a flowchart representation. In the flowchart representation of this program, so this is what happens. The control enter the if statement, and there is if greater than or equal to 0. And there are two possibilities, yes, no. And if it is yes, then what happens is this particular assignment statement ABS underscore A is equal to A got executed. And if it is no, then ABS underscore A is equal to minus A got executed. And after these two statements are, then the control comes to the printf statement, and control goes like this. And here you have your printf, scanf, and this is your program entry. This is what is called as a flowchart representation of the program. Are you with me? Are you all with me on this flowchart representation of this program? This is language neutral. You enter the program, you read. Okay, you read line number 7 and 8. Lines 7 to 8 correspond to this. And then there is this diamond shape we use in flowcharts to represent the condition evaluation. Yes and no, and then you come back and this is exit. Got it. So usually what happens is when a problem is given, like when I learned computer science 20 years back, 25 years back, first we have to draw the flow chart. And after you draw the flow chart, you go about writing the program. The flow chart is independent of your language. You can, once you have the flow chart, you can write your program either in C, C++, Java, whatever the programming language you would like to write. Like for example, when we write the flow chart, we don't use, where is the eraser? Here. So here we can simply have a statement like this, okay? We can simply say, read variable A, and then we can simply say print ABS underscore. Because when you are so when I introduced you the scanf statement and when I introduced you the printf statement, you are so confused about the syntax of the scanf. What is this %d? What is this %a? What is this printf with %d in between? Those are like language nuances. They are not per se related with the algorithmic thinking. And that kind of confuses you. So I want you to have this distinction between the language nuances and the main algorithmic thinking. Because once you get this algorithm, this flowchart for this problem, then what happens is if you have a problem with scanf or if you have a problem with printf for reading or printing, you just go look at the textbook, and the textbook says in order to read how you should use your scanf statement, or in order to print how you should use your printf statement. You use essential C or you use something else or whatever. you can, it doesn't matter. Are you with me here? This is very important idea, that your algorithm should be clear to you. Once the algorithm is, and then when you want to do a greater than or equal to 0, in C programming language, what is the relational operator I should be using? Okay, you go check, you will get it. Okay, so that's all. So given a problem, this algorithm, this algorithmic flow should be clear in your mind. And that's what you have to design. And don't get stuck in printf, scanf, and blah. And it's all, no, it's not a big deal. All right. So now we are on coming back to the GDB. We are on line number 19 now. We still didn't execute it. And when I execute it, so, and then if I say next, then line number 19 printf statement got executed. And so you can see the output here. You can see this is the output. This is the output. And then when we say next, that's it. So we are out of the program. Now let's try to repeat the same process. Let's repeat the same process using if it is equal to minus, if the value that we read is minus 10. So enter a number. So number is minus 10. Let me do one thing, Control D. Okay, let me run again. Okay. So run the program. So entering minus 10. When we enter minus 10, we kept a breakpoint on line number 10. So if I execute this, where will the control transfer go to after this? Some of you are curious about what is this control transfer. Control transfer is the instruction, or the control is what is the next instruction that the program has to execute or the processor has to execute. That is what is called as a control. So what will be the line 16? Manoj, not line 12, because A is equal to minus 10. And since minus 10, the condition is not satisfied, when we say no, then this is, we go to line number 16. We go to else part. And then we say next. So abs underscore A is equal to minus A. And then if you see print abs underscore A, so you can print two values, A, comma. Okay, it's not working. I thought it would. Yeah. So you can see A is still minus 10 and abs underscore A is 10. And after this gets executed, what will be the control transfer? Where are we now? We are on line number 19. So printf statement gets executed. When I say next, printf statement gets executed. That's what you see, that absolute value of minus 10 is equal to 10. So now let's look at this thing. What is the address of the variable A and what is the address of the variable abs underscore? You can see this is a hexadecimal representation, but you can see in this particular example, A and abs-A are allocated memory next to each other. A and abs-A are allocated memory next to each other. Because 300, ignore other things, just think of 300 as some number, even decimal number, for the sake of this discussion. And if you add 4 to it, you get 304. And the memory, so the variable A is allocated memory at the location 300, 301, 302, 303. And abs underscore A is allocated memory at 304, 305, 306, and 307. Are you with me here? You are all with me? Completely understood what is going on? The next command, it will execute what is the instruction where no, we stopped. That is the instruction that gets executed. Okay. And you don't need to type in the whole of next. You can just even press N. And to repeat the same instruction, if you press enter, then whatever the previous instruction that got executed, it gets executed again. Like for example, let's run this program. Why after line 10 it does not go to line 12? That is the semantics, na? So let's Control L. You tell Lakshmi Pati. So if A is equal to -10, then the condition will be false, right? If the condition is false, you have to go to the else part. And what is the first statement in the else part? Line number 16. So that's what gets executed. That is the semantics. Yeah, that's true. As A is negative, the condition is false. So you go to line number 16. Good. So GDB is super fun. You can do very interesting things using GDB. But almost pretty much very few students, very few students use GDB, very few students. So I want you to be very proficient in using GDB from day one. So this is one particular way of using GDB, having editor on one side and having the terminal on another side. There is another way called as TUI, okay, TUI, text user interface. So when you do TUI, then you don't need to refer to your editor. I used the command called as TUI. So if I do disable, I come out. If I do TUI enable, I will come in. And then let's run the program from the beginning. So now it is asking for input. So let's say I give -10. So now there is a breakpoint at line number 10 and the control stopped at line number 10. And if you press next, then control transferred to line number 16. And so I don't need to keep pressing next. Like if the same command I have to give, if I just press enter, then whatever the command that I have given before, in this case next, it will be automatically be given. So now the control transferred to line number 19 and printf got executed and we come out of it. Are you with me here on using TUI? Later on you will see, like for example, when you are so on VS Code you can see I just pressed using the mouse, I kept a breakpoint there. On VS Code I just kept this red dot, I can click on it, so I can go anywhere, and if I click I'll put a breakpoint there. VS Code. Line number 17, technically there is no instruction on line number 17. It is after line number 16, the next valid instruction to execute is line 19. Line 18 also is empty. If there is something there like after this, then it will go to line 17. Let's see if GDB is set up on my system. What is the use of breakpoint, Nipun? When you are debugging complex programs, it will be, you need to figure out where what is happening. So breakpoint really helps. In order for you to trace the program, understand what is going on, you can isolate your bug. You can go to your bug very fast using by using breakpoints. Divij has this question. See, there is this output is not clear. TUI's output and GDB output, it's kind of got messed up. So I prefer that no, TUI has some issues. So yeah, let's see. I think this is what. So minus 10. Let's see what is happening. And also you will see some. You can see there is input output. You have to use Control L to kind of clear the screen when you are using TUI. So you have to get used to using TUI because it has some idiosyncrasies. Let me try one thing. Clear all my drawings. Terminal. Let's see if this works. I'm not sure if I didn't set up my machine properly. Okay, I will not. I'll do it at some other point. But the point is, in VS Code, debugging is also very easy. Setting breakpoints, you don't need to remember all these commands, etc. You can do. But for the first 1 month, I want you to use GDB at the terminal. You use with or without TUI. That is my expectation from you. Okay. Quit. Okay, so are you all good? Happy? So now, let's say you're not just you want to compute this ABS underscore A again and again and again. So what do you do? I am copying this whole program and storing it. So here, after line 20, after line 20, so you want to, after computing the ABS value of one value, you want to repeat the whole process. So what you want to say is at line number 21, after you printf, you want to say, go to line number 7. You know what? You computed, you're telling the program, you have computed you have computed the ABS value for one input, but I would like to continue this process. Then what do? You cannot say go to line number 7. But instead we attach what is called as a label to statement, to the printf statement. And what is the label that we are attaching? The label that we are attaching, it is what is called as a begin. And then after we execute line number 21, you go back to begin and then you repeat the same process. So Divij has this question. Yes, this program runs forever. It's true. This program runs forever. ABS go to .c and .a.out. So 10 and then minus 10, 8, minus 10, minus 8 or minus 10. So this program runs forever. Begin is not a standard label. You can have end. Okay. Just to make my point, it can be, it's just a name. And this program is running forever. This is a program which doesn't terminate. Is there a way to break a Control D, Control C? Control C will terminate the program. GCC ABS go to.c. Now you can see, go to end, just to make my point, I'm saying go to end, it will still work. Okay, so on. So this program doesn't terminate here. So you have to press Control C to come out of this program. So now you have seen your first non-trivial program which can do lots of stuff. So GCC, ABS. Yeah, so GoTo, we are using GoTo only for once, only in this program I will use GoTo, but it is advised not to write programs using GoTo because we will find an alternate way to write this program in the next class. But for the time being, just take this. Yeah, Yesh has this nice thing. So the flow chart is the main logic that we are supposed to think. So I will just copy paste his logic, his statement, because it's very, very important. And that is the summary. This is what he's mentioned. The table flow chart in the chat box, if you see, is the main logic that we are supposed to think. And these scanf, printf, GoTo terminologies of or just terminologies of a particular programming language, and we'll change. Oh, the chat is not visible. Okay, sorry. Yeah, essentially what Yesh said is true. In this whole program, the main logic is the if then else. The flowchart is the main logic. The printf, scanf, they are all peculiarities of a particular language. That's all. Oh, okay. That is the convention. Yeah. So let's do GDB of this program and then we'll conclude today's lecture. The chat, but you can look at your own chat now. I didn't realize it. Yeah. So GCC -G ABS GoTo.c and GDB a.out break main. Sorry. Okay. So I can use break main, meaning put a breakpoint at the beginning of the function, run. So now what I do is next scanf -10. So now the control is at line 12. I entered -10 and then again enter press. ABS is 16 since it is negative value, control will go to line number 18, and after line number 18 control will go to line number 21. After line number 21, where will control go to after line number 21? Where will control go to? Line number 23. Exactly. Yeah. So after line number 23, where will control go to? Awesome. That's it, guys. You're all rock stars. And you can write pretty complex C programs using the ideas discussed so far in this in these lectures. That's it. Okay, this is all about programming, nothing much. Do some computations, do control transfer, use if then else statements, loop back, and so you're all good. So the last program that you are supposed to write, there is one more idea which I have to introduce you, which I will do in the next class. And after that, the last program you are supposed to write in this course, you can write even now also after that. Technically speaking, you may not be able to come up with a clean solution, but any complex program you will be able to write once I introduce you to one more idea. That's all. So if you're all happy, I will stop here today's lecture. We'll catch up again on on Saturday. Okay, I am happy. So I think it's a very good class. I'm able to introduce flowcharts nicely. GDB is good, and yeah. Okay, see you